Hi gang, Alan Combies here, Faster EFT practitioner and creator of this video series that I call Morning Coffee with Alan. Once again, I'm without my cup of coffee here, but I'm just in my office, already had my coffee, and just felt inspired to record another video for you. And I was thinking about, what do I want to share today? And I thought, what's something clear and concise, hopefully clear and concise, that I can share with you that will help you and encourage you to begin experimenting with Faster EFT. So maybe this is for you who, the person that's sort of, wanting something different in their lives, wanting to address some issues in their life. They've heard about this Faster EFT thing, but they're sort of like, I don't think so. It looks a little weird. I don't think it's going to work, whatever it might be. So here are three things, the top three things that you can do when applying Faster EFT to your issues, to your problems. So it's important to know, first off, before we get into that, what Faster EFT actually does. I mean, what it's designed to do. Fundamentally, Faster EFT is a way to address memories that you have that, when you think about them, affect you in a way that feels uncomfortable. And presumably, a lot of times these memories will get you to a place where it's inhibiting your happiness somehow. It's inhibiting your desire to live fully. It's inhibiting your ability to step through or accomplish certain things in your life. And really, going back and cleaning all that stuff up, as we'd like to say, cleaning it up. In other words, going back, addressing the memories and changing them so that they no longer have that emotional grasp that they have. You can change them, and when you do that, it just frees up it gives you space. It gives you space to create new things, to be able to think differently, to be able to see life from a new perspective and a new viewpoint. It's so important because, it's sort of like when we're feeling those negative emotions, that negative stress reaction, that's exactly what it is. It's a stress reaction. What is stress? Well, stress causes about 85% of the diseases and health issues out there. And so this is really a stress reduction technique. And stress is caused by our reaction to our perception. What is perception? It's what we're thinking. And so all the memories, all the things that you think of, that you do in your mind that create this stress reaction, you can change that. And that's really what Faster EFT is designed to do. And so here are three things that you can do to help improve your Faster. I'd say the top three things that you can focus on and remember when applying your Faster EFT tapping. Now, of course, Faster EFT is not just about tapping. It's about addressing your memories, defractionating them, and flipping them. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we go on here. But we like to use tapping. And so, again, if you're not familiar with Faster EFT, go watch Robert's videos. You can go to FasterEFT.com and join his mailing list, and he'll send you a 7-day course where he sends videos to you, and you can really figure that out and get to know what Faster EFT is all about, and you can tap along with him. So, three things that I think are the most important. The first thing that you can do when experimenting with Faster EFT, when applying it to your life, is simply knowing when to use it. And I think this is one of the biggest, most important things that you can do is begin to change your habits. And in the past, what we tend to do is when we feel bad, we tend to just continue to entertain those thoughts. We continue to let them grow and fester, and as we do that, we start looking for more thoughts, and we start compounding on those thoughts. You can almost think of it as a hypnotic trance. You're going into trance, and you're not dealing with what's in front of you, you're dealing with what you're creating in your mind. And as you do that, as you go in, you go deeper and deeper, and you're in essence hypnotizing yourself, right, with this problem. And so one of the things that you can begin to do differently is to begin to recognize when you're going down that path. Begin to recognize when you are going down that path of thoughts, of thinking, And you know you're going down that path because of how it makes you feel. And so you can begin to notice that when you are feeling those feelings, just kind of check in with yourself and go, oh, I don't feel very good. What am I thinking about? And it's at that point that you can begin to do this simple tapping process. And if you don't know, with Faster EFT, we use 5 points. You can use those 5 points. You can use 1 point. It doesn't really matter. At this point, in this stage in the game, what you're really doing is recognizing when you're feeling bad. Because that signal of feeling bad, that feeling of feeling bad, is a signal that your thoughts are going in the direction that you don't necessarily want them to go in. And what you've done in the past is entertain those thoughts again and again and again until pretty soon you're knee deep in shit, right? So begin to recognize when you're doing it to yourself. So that's step 1. Step 2 is something that we call aiming. Aiming is really what separates Faster EFT from other tapping modalities. Aiming is noticing how you know you have the problem. So, in other words, when you notice you're feeling bad, that's the first step, right? You notice you're feeling bad, you notice you're doing it to yourself. Now what you do is you say, okay, I'm feeling that feeling. What am I thinking about? What's the thought that's producing this feeling? Because it's always your perception. It's your body reacting to your perception. You know, you can think of it, the brain sending signals to the body, sending electrical impulses to the body, to the organs to produce adrenaline and cortisol and you know, that fight or flight response, whatever it might be. I'm not a doctor, obviously, or a physician or biologist or anything like that, but it's common knowledge that you know, in order to feel feelings, a chemical has to be secreted from our organs, and in order for that to happen, there has to be a signal from the brain. And so what you can do is begin to notice when you're feeling it, and then ask yourself, what am I thinking about? Now, when you ask yourself, well, what am I thinking about, that is aiming. And so you can start to look at what is the memory. Is there a memory? Is it an idea? If it's an idea or belief system, how do I know it's there? In other words, what are the memories that support this? Now, it can be memory, it can be a picture, but it can also be sounds, it can be sensations, it can be, you know, it can be just a knowing, you know, a sort of a knowing that it's there. You can put a symbol to it. You know, the brain really works in metaphors. And so you can just begin to notice what you're doing in your mind. That's it. What are you doing in your mind to create this feeling? Notice it in your mind. Just notice it. Notice how you know. I was going to say see it, but for some people, they don't really see it. They just kind of know, or they feel it. Whatever it is for you. Just notice how you know it's there. Notice what the thought is that's creating the feeling. So that's step number 2, and it's what we call aiming. Now, the third step is to begin to do something different, which is, in this case, tapping. So we're going to be tapping. So step 1 is begin to recognize when you're doing it to yourself. Step 2 is noticing the thought and aiming at it. Step 3 is doing something different, which is we're going to be using tapping. And of course, tapping is very, very simple. You can tap on the meridian points. We like to use the eyebrow point, or just between the eyes, side of the eye, under the eye, your collarbone. We call it the collarbone. It's just kind of in this general area here. And then squeeze the wrist. You take a deep breath, you blow it out, peace. Now, you can just pick one spot. If you do like your collarbone point, I use this one a lot. You know, if you just want to squeeze the wrist, that's great. The point is that you're doing something differently. Now, when you're tapping, what I'd like to ask you to do is to take your attention and focus off of how you're doing it and put your attention and focus onto your fingers. Notice what it feels like as you're tapping on your face. As you're tapping on these points, notice that sensation. Notice how hard you're tapping. Notice how soft you're tapping. Notice if your hands are warm or if they're cold, right? Really feel what that feels like. And the reason I'm asking you to do this is because one of the key elements that helps this tapping process work, one of them, is what we call defractionation. It's breaking your state. And so when you are thinking about your problem and feeling bad, you're going into a state. It's a mind-body state. And by tapping, you're interrupting that pattern, right? It's a pattern interrupt. And so by interrupting the pattern, you're actually sending a signal to the brain and to the body that, hey, this doesn't need to equal this anymore. This thought doesn't need to equal this feeling anymore. And that's when you begin to get the emotional drop. The charge of the emotion begins to drop. And of course, as the emotion begins to drop, then all of a sudden you're able to see things, and you're able to see that you have more options. You're able to see that there's more to life than just this little peephole that you're looking out of in the moment, right? And this is all about relaxing the body. And this is what happens naturally as you relax the body. This is what meditation is all about. This is what, all these practices that help you relax the body. It's about clearing the mind so that you can see, so that you can be more open to intuition and be aware that you've got an infinite number of possibilities in your life. So getting back to the defractionation, feeling the fingertips is about pulling you out of that hypnotic trance and focusing on something else. And of course, the meridian tapping helps relax the body as well. So we call this defractionation because literally what you're doing, and I've spoken about this in videos before, but it's a state change. It's an interrupting your pattern by defractionating that hypnotic trance, which is your problem, right? So you go inside, you think about it. You've done this a million times before. You're really good at it. You're really good at producing this problem. And in the past, what you've done is you just entertained it more and more and more. Now we're doing something different. We're going to interrupt that pattern by tapping. Now, fractionation is a hypnotic term which we use in trance. So if you go into a trance and then come back up and then go into trance again and then go back up and go into trance again, each time you go back into trance, you're going to go deeper and deeper. You're doing the same thing with your problems. Every time you go inside and you think about it, you're going in deeper and deeper into your own problem, which is a hypnotic trance. And so as you begin to interrupt that pattern, what you're doing is you're defractionating that hypnotic trance. You're pulling yourself out of the hypnotic trance. And one of the best ways to do this is with tapping and feeling your fingers. Feel your fingers. So you're taking your mind off of the hypnotic trance and onto the sensation of your fingers. Now, what do you say when you're tapping? Let it go, let it go. I release and let it go. It's safe to let it go. Release and let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. In no particular order, but the idea is you're not holding on to it. You're not affirming it. You're saying, I release and let this feeling go. I release and let this image go. Whatever it is, I'm releasing and I'm letting go. So you're just affirming that you're letting go. Again, not holding on to it, not feeling it all the way through. Feel it, notice it, feel your fingers, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. I release and let it go. And so by doing these three things, noticing, understanding when to tap, noticing how you know it's there, otherwise known as aiming, and then defractionating by feeling the fingers and tapping. In other words, doing something different than you've done in the past. Tap, feel the fingers, defractionate. And of course, you just repeat this over and over. So afterwards, when you're done, you go back and you check and you say, okay, what can I feel that feeling? What was I thinking about? Can I bring it back? And the idea is you want to tap and repeat the rounds until it no longer bothers you. And then of course, once it no longer bothers you, you can ask yourself a better question, like, what would I rather have? How would I rather have that memory be? If you're going to hold on to any memories, they might as well be memories that make you feel good, that make you feel positive emotions. The past is over. It no longer exists. Yes, you did go through events at one point in time, but how is holding on to that serving you? I challenge you to go back and revisit those memories and make peace with them. You make peace by addressing the emotion, by releasing, letting go, making peace, forgive yourself for holding on to it, forgive yourself for creating these images and replaying them over and over and over again in your mind. Forgive all the players in there because they're no longer here. It's just what you're doing in your mind. Change how you represent it, and your world will transform. I hope this video helps. This is a little bit longer than I usually go, but I just really felt like sharing this with you. I hope it served you. Go out there, do something different, aim, release, transform. We'll see you in the next video.